What's going on, everybody? Happy Saturday. Hudge Vandy, Langston, Warchant.com, recruiting news, Ultimate Seminoles Sports Source, subscribe button, lower right corner, Warchant30, the promo code to be a member of Warchant.com. If you're on the PRB, you would have known about all this hours ago. Everything, hours ago. But you're not a member probably because you're watching us on YouTube, which is fine, what can they do in the meantime, Michael, if they don't want to be a subscriber of the website? What can they do to show some love?
Just hit the like button for us, guys. We take that as a big sign of love. So helps us promote all the stuff we're doing, especially when we're giving you good news and breaking news on team and recruiting. So yeah, just hit that like button. And never a better time to do it than today.
If some is good, then more is better. What's better than one? Two commitments for Florida State on a Saturday afternoon, Michael. Check that out. All in the defense, but let's start in the trenches. And with an edge rusher,
hmm
I think from Alabama originally, now doing some JuCo action. Kansas, Jaden Jones, man, how did this one come about? This has been happening for a while, this courtship, if you will. What made him pull the trigger today, do you think?
Yeah, from Montgomery, Alabama. So Aslan's correct. He's from Montgomery, Alabama. He visited FSU in May. It started a little bit before that, where FSU went to see him play. They were actually watching another prospect, from what Jaden was telling me the story, and I think it was Malik Benson, a JUCO wide receiver at Hutchinson as well. And Jaden caught their eye, watched him, and they loved how he got off the line, the way he finished, and that was the guy like, hey, we want to get you on campus now. When they got him on campus, you really felt like, hey, FSU's in the driver's seat here. But there was also like, hey, he wants to take official visits, and he wasn't in a hurry. I'm going to do it in November. But I think, and then FSU just stayed really strong on him, and that relationship just got stronger and stronger. And he's like, hey, I've been here. I know how I feel when I'm here. There's no other place that's going to be like this. And I think it really just sold him on everything. It's not a finished product. Uses his hands really well. Great takeoff, quick in space as far as rushing the passer. Kind of some of the things that I saw when I watched Dennis Briggs out of high school. He does some of the same stuff, and he's grown a lot as a prospect and going to JUCO. And you want a guy that can help you right when he gets there. And I think they feel like this is a guy that can certainly do that. I like the take. I think it's exactly what you need. And when you're sold on it. And the coaches went to evaluate him in person. That tells me a lot when you do it in person. I think it's definitely a take that's going to help them pretty early in his career.
Junior college prospect, but he's 2023. He won't be playing this
Right.
coming football season, correct, Michael?
That's correct, and I think he has 3 years left. So 2 or 3 years, if I'm not mistaken, it might be two. But he's a guy that they spent a lot of time on. They went over there twice to watch Jaden in action, and then I think they're really sold on just, hey, this guy can fit exactly what we do, supporting the run, getting at the passer, so quick off the line of scrimmage, and I think they just loved everything about just the skill set they saw and the guy they met. I mean, I spent some time with Jaden, even talked when I talked to him today in an interview, and it's a very likable guy that is very driven by just to get better. Everything he does is just he's always driven to push himself. Got a chip on his shoulder, and I just like the way he approaches this whole process of when he does get to FSU. So I think he's a guy that's a good take for them.
All right, man. He's been pursued by several programs. I'll try to
hmm
pull him up here. I know I saw Houston was one of them. That's obviously a pretty solid program. Middle Tennessee State, Missouri, UAB. So three-star prospect, 6'6", 245, good size. And again, he's got several months here now to develop before he even does, not several months, I mean almost a year. So to get
Yeah,
even.
and I was told, like, schools like Auburn, North Carolina, NC State, they were all trying to get him over to go to their camp. TCU, they wanted him to try to get him at the camp, and FSU built the relationship early, got him in there for like a just a to visit and kind of see and feel, and I think that really that's kind of some of the recruitments that they're going to have to do. Yeah, there's some that they've already established relationships with that are 4 stars and rounds 100, 250 guys, but you're going to have these where you need to be the first in line, and when you're trying to improve the product of your team, obviously winning will help that, but this is the type of way they have to do it, and they saw a guy that they felt like fit everything they want, and they jumped on it.
Yeah. Staying in SEC country, but focusing on the high school talent that's out in the Magnolia State of Mississippi. Florida State picks up a defensive back out of Meridian High School in Quindarrius Jones. This is a guy who'd also been visiting here recently. Michael, what do you know about him and the commitment and the relationships?
Yeah, they I had a really detailed talk with Quindarrius, like even after the league camp, and then obviously today. He was the one guy, and I was kind of asking people because I would watch Dre Jacobs go against all these guys, and Dre was making the incredible catches, but or Jones was the one guy that was right there with him. Actually, had about 2 or 3 pass breakups, and I kept asking people like, I mean, who's that guy? I was asked Quindarrius Jones. They brought him in for league camp, and so I really focused on him. Very long, athletic, tall, probably taller than the 6'2" that he's listed, probably around 6'3", and plays going to play probably the free safety position, I would guess, just from what I saw. But he seemed very comfortable when you put him out on the island when he had to cover fast receivers. So his length and quickness in space really, jumped out to me. And this is another one of those going after the early guy before anybody else. He tells me they play him at free safety and outside linebacker over there at Meridian. That's kind of how they use him because he's so fast and he can cover so much ground with his length and range. And I think he does a lot of kind of a traits of everything that you look for in the defense, and I think this is another one that I didn't know who this guy. I'd heard the name around my FSU contacts, but I haven't seen him in action until I watched him at the elite camp, and I'm like, he was the only one that was kind of like, hey, who's this guy? And then I kind of watched him. And I was like, man, this kid's he is always around the ball hawk. Ball skills are really good. Closes very fast, very quick in space, and he was a guy like, yeah, I like that guy. The funny, ironic thing is, I was getting ready to write a story on him about his performance from the elite camp, him getting the FSU offer, and of course he commits one day before I could get that done. But I think it's kind of leads into FSU getting. I guess they're a step ahead of me, but I think he's a guy that they just really for a month and a half or longer. I think they really just jumped on this guy and said, "Hey, this is if he checks out everything we're looking for when we work him out, we're going to offer him and go after him." Not sure they knew that he would jump in and commit that early, but I think he certainly kind of fit everything that they saw on film, as far as what we're watching, and then seeing it in person. I think he kind of did maybe even more than what we thought he was, and they immediately offered him after the league camp. And as we said before, they only bring the guys they're really serious about to that event, so you knew he was a guy that they were seriously considering.
I guess this is the point where some people might wonder why a guy who doesn't have any stars on the Rivals.com
Hmm.
network was at an elite camp. And I mean, he's from a really good program in Meridian, in Mississippi. He doesn't seem to have a lot of offers. Is this a guy that I know we want to use the word sleeper? I mean, was there anything that might have hindered his? I mean, was he injured? Anything recently here that might have affected his sort of recruiting stock? And I guess ultimately, I mean, with a Florida
I,
State commitment, I'm sure that's going to probably change.
I think what changed was a lot of people had been or trying to get him to their camps, and FSU was the one that got him to the camp. And he's only been playing football for a year, from what Quindarrius was telling me.
Okay.
So there's a development part of a gym that they found that they saw,
Hmm.
and FSU just happened to be the first team to kind of get him into that camp. And they built, but what FSU does is they build a relationship first, then they make a push on the talent, and that's kind of way they've always done it. And I think they saw some stuff with him, and then they wanted him at Lee camp. They got him there before anybody else could get him to a camp, and the rest is history, as they say. But I think it's just more a new kid that just started to mold as a player. Only playing football for a year, for doing it. So you sure can't tell that when you watch his film, but he looks good. But I think that's kind of where it's going. As far as the offers, I think a lot of schools were waiting to go see him or get him in a camp scene, and then I think he was probably going to pick up more offers. So this kind of goes back to both of these guys. I think they were guys that they recruited because they felt like if we don't get him now, we might not get him because they're going to be on him. And he has a teammate, Daniel Hill, who we highlighted. He's a 4-star athlete that we also interviewed that seemed to be pretty high on FSU as well. So as Aslan pointed out, Meridian's a very nice school over there in Mississippi. So I think they liked what they saw, and we know Woodson is really strong in the Mississippi area. He's gotten a lot of kids both committed or whatnot, and he recruits a lot of those guys. So it's just another one that Marcus Woodson did a really good job with.
All right. In case you folks were wondering what these guys look like, because we don't have their headshots yet in the system, which we'll work on that. We can only do so much at one point. There's Jaden Jones, everybody. There he is doing the chop on his on a recent visit. And man, I thought somebody was kind of trolling us at first when I saw the photo of Quindarrius, because I'm like, man, has Julio Jones got some more? Julio Jones. I'm like, what's going on here? But yeah, so that's Quindarrius Jones. So
Yep.
Strong chin, strong jawline, good football player, I bet. For a complete, full wrap up and analysis of these two commitments, go to the Premium Recruiting Board. Michael's got his thoughts, some comps maybe that will help you figure out what these guys can become at the next level. That's over at warchant.com. Hit the thumbs up on the way out, everybody. We really would appreciate that. Just a little tap. That's all you got to do. That's all we ask. Michael, thanks for your time, man.
You got it, bud.